So CIY was June of last year?
It was actually July.
So July of last year. When did you actually get baptized?
I got baptized April 16th.
So since April, what are the steps that you've taken to grow that relationship with Christ? What are the things that you've been doing?
I started a discipleship with you, and it's been the best decision that I've made. It's helped me grow more, helped me keep accountable to keep that relationship, because I know without it I probably would not be doing as much as I should be. But it has helped me so much, and to grow and to have a friendship and to build a friendship with you, and it's been really good.
You don't know the conversation that Braxton and I had, because really it was my dad's the one that kind of pointed it out to me. We just happened to be on the phone, and he put me on speaker with Braxton and was like, hey, we have somebody that we think that you would be really effective pouring into and discipling. And they said your name, and I was like, absolutely, yes. Yeah, 100%. And that would have been the week of between Easter and the day that you got baptized. And Braxton had told me like he was going to throw the idea out to you, but he wanted me to meet with you within a couple days of you being baptized, just because he wanted to get the ball rolling and really make sure that you felt supported in that decision that you made. And I think our first meeting would have been like April 22nd. And you got baptized on April 16th. So we were right there in the middle of that week. I think it was beneficial and good for us to kind of take that next step really early. So what does our discipleship look like? What do we do?
Well, we meet once a week, every week, and we meet at this coffee shop. We watch a video and we talk about the video, and it's more one-on-one. I feel like it's more raw. I can talk to you about anything, and I feel like we can get deeper into things and how to build that relationship.
Yeah, I think it's been cool to be able to recognize that like somebody in a different stage of life than you can be going through the same things, and that goes both ways. I think knowing that things that you struggle with are still things that I struggle with, that I know like people our parents' age would still struggle with. Following Jesus isn't always easy, but having somebody to do life with makes it a lot more manageable and doable. And I think that relationship, that one-on-one where we can really just bare our hearts to each other, has been really special and really good. It gives us the opportunity to know that we aren't alone, because we have Christ and we have those that are in the family of God with us.
We've always went to church, and I was raised Roman Catholic, so we were there every Saturday or Sunday, went to Sunday school, but a lot of that didn't do too much for me because I was always very introverted, so I didn't go to like youth groups or anything like that.
My parents took me to church since I was very little. I was always in the youth groups and involved in a lot of things, and so for me it's kind of always just been there, and it's been taught ever since I could pray. My parents told me to pray, so I've been pretty spiritual my whole life, but I would say coming here has really helped me connect more on like a mature level and helped me see things in a different light.
The way that we came to Central was we were both attending UFIS, and we were just in a place in our relationship where we wanted to grow more, and so we decided that it was time to find a church.
For us, coming from two vastly different backgrounds, where I was more Southern Baptist-y and she was raised in a Catholic faith, and so those were about as polar opposite as you can get. And so we were like, how do we mix these in a place that we're both going to be comfortable? And so she found Central and said, let's go here. And so we got here, but service had already started. So the next week we came, and we've never had any doubts, questions, or ventured anywhere else because we just felt so at home. The Porters, like Kevin and Joni, they've been the main support for us, I would say, as far as people that can pour into us and guide us. And they've been really great during our walk, and it just kind of happened. We were down there eating at one of the events here at Central, and they just kind of sat down next to us, and they were like, hey, is anyone sitting here? And we were, no. So they just plopped down, and we started chatting, became friendly, and then they asked us to join their small group, and from then on, we just became really close and tight-knit, and they've helped to guide us. And just having a couple that has been married as long as they have and have kids kind of our age, so they know the phase of life we're in, and they've had all these experiences. It's really helped us to kind of lean on them for getting us through some times where me and her may not have known exactly what the best route was. We could always call them and ask, and they've been really great for us.
They're like mom and dad away from home. And a lot of the times you can ask us like who our friends are and everything like that, and we're like Kevin and Jody.
I've learned a lot since I've been here, and it's made me a lot more confident in my faith. And so I think that we're growing to the point that we want to keep growing, and by doing outreach and service, I think that'll really help us. We kind of felt like we didn't really have much to offer because we haven't had like very like traumatic issues or events, and we also felt like, well, we're not, elders, and we haven't been around long enough, we haven't read the Bible enough, like we may not know enough about biblical things for us to take on the role of leading someone or pouring into someone or really having much to offer them. And through talking with Tim and some of our small group members, we kind of realized like it's not so much about how long you've been on earth or how much you've read the Bible or how many scriptures you've memorized. It has more to do with individual experiences and things that you can give that no one else can. And even though we may not have, every Bible verse memorized, or we may not have all these traumatic events and all these big stories of how God really saved us, I think that we do still have the ability to work in people's lives by just being positive influences and telling them our personal stories and getting to know them on a personal level to where they're comfortable with us. And so through talking, we've kind of realized that we are valuable in serving and ministering and helping others. And so I think for us, the next step in our growth is going to be to find some people that we can really bond with and guide and maybe pour into.
I think we started attending Central in 2016, and then our first trip, Greg saw it, and he was the one that brought it to my attention, was in 2017. That's when we met Stacy, and that's when our lives were forever changed. So I think we've gone every year for the past, I think we've gone 5 years out of the past 6. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Because of COVID?
Mm-hmm.
So once we went, we just felt this is our calling, this is where we can serve, and just real excited about going back each year.
And since our girls, as Kathy had mentioned earlier, were out of the house by then, we just sort of felt a calling to adopt some of these young people. I chose a little boy named Angel, and Kathy had chosen a little spunky gal named Veronica.
It was kind of neat. I was very intimidated because Greg had gone on mission trips before as a teenager, and this was my first one. And I think, I just had a lot of apprehensive feelings and fear because I thought, here I am going to southern Mexico. I've never been on a trip before. I don't speak Spanish. We're going to this children's home. We're supposed to minister to the kids. Like, how is this going to happen? I can't even speak the language. And I still get emotional thinking about the moment. It was one of the last days we were there. And we had taken the kids out for ice cream. We were kind of ministering to the teenagers. And one of the teenage girls, her name's Norma, she's 14, and I hadn't really noticed her throughout the week. She came up behind me and just grabbed my hand. And there was just an instant connection. I don't know if you can have a mother-daughter connection. And I said, Greg, we've got to sponsor this third girl. And it was life-changing.
Now, the little boy, Angel, has been adopted by a couple that works at the home, so we still support them directly, but we don't necessarily, feel the responsibility that we still feel with the 2 girls who are now 20, but yet we have tried to pour into their lives and sponsored them through the years, connected with them. Now that they have cell phones, we can have discussions and text on almost a daily basis, which has really helped our relationship. And we've poured into their lives, and they have blessed us greatly. And just watching them grow up from the time we met them to 14 until now, and watching them mature, and they still have the same kind of problems that teenagers and 20-year-olds have here, but we're able to give them hopefully some wise counsel and encourage them and let them know that they're not alone.
It's been so fulfilling, and I think what neither of us realized was just how much more we get in return.
My Uncle Paul, who was a pastor and took 2 mission trips a year on the church that he pastored out in California. I used to go with him down to Hermosillo, Mexico, and did that 4 or 5 times. And recently he was in poor health, and I shared with him that him taking me on those mission trips and pouring into my life that way, trusting me at one point as I think a 17-year-old to be a leader of a group, I'm now continuing the work that he started. And I think him pouring into me, I feel like I'm sort of an extension of the mission trips that he took me on and what he started.
You know, as a young couple, we were really involved in each other and our girls, and life was busy and we were working full time. We did try to serve here and there. We were home group leaders at our other church. Greg was a Sunday school teacher. I don't know about you, but to me, I almost view that as another thing to do, another thing on the to-do list. And I think as I've gotten older, I look back and I wish we would have gotten more involved at a younger age. Just the blessings that we've had and the fulfillment and the spiritual growth, and just all as a result of looking beyond our need and beyond ourselves